loud. I was about to look up something on my phone for the podcast, but now you turned on the music and I completely forgot what it was.
Do you want me to turn the music back on?
I don't think it's going to help.
Some sort of remembrance way, a reverse strategy.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Entertain This, an episode 36. Yep.
Yeah.
Which is this podcast is about movies, TV show, and video games. It's only been 36 weeks. My name is Hayden. With me I have
Mitch.
and
Tom.
and we like to talk about things in the now, and thus being the month of Halloween, the month of horror, we are delving even deeper into our fascination with that movie genre. Specifically, today we're going to talk about film theory surrounding, and don't turn away just yet, it can be entertaining, surrounding what makes you afraid. What is it exactly that scares people?
And what movies are scientifically proven to be the scariest.
But we'll get into that later. For now, let's knock out our social media plugs. Mitch.
Well, we have Facebook, which is our Facebook group. We have Entertain This Podcast, which is the group. We have Entertain This, which is the page. We have we have Instagram, which is
It's only been 36 weeks.
entertain.this. We have Twitter, which is @this.entertain. We have our Patreon, which is patreon.com. Entertain_this. And then we have our YouTube page, which is Entertain This.
You should get all that tattooed to like the palm of your hand.
It's probably about the only way I'm going to find that piece of paper.
That has all the passwords and everything on it.
So,
I've only lost it twice.
we'll get it down.
I know it's at the house somewhere.
It'll be like the Pledge of Allegiance. Before you know it, you'll just have it memorized. So.
Stand up, salute, put your hand over your heart.
Mitch, plug the social media.
All right, so Mitch, you got punched again.
Surprise, surprise.
A grand institution on this show.
Talk to us about your terrible, horrible punishment. This horror of a punishment.
Tom, you struck out. It was really not that bad. Yeah, I think you got it confused with like High School Musical or something.
All I know is I know you don't like musicals. I thought this would make it,
They song and stuff in it, but it was more like just like almost like a teen comedy. Sang songs, whatever.
Sing-a-ling-a-dings songs.
But they sung a couple of songs that it was like 80s rock or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
The Journey and
yeah, it was more about like this one teacher trying to get other kids to join the Glee Club because it was his like. Oh, by the way, the show I had to watch was Glee. Anyways,
For those of you who didn't know.
but he's trying to get other kids to join the Glee Club because it was his passion when he was younger, and they only have like 5 kids in the school that wanted to be part of it. So he's actively trying to get people in.
yeah, they're all nerds.
Yeah,
So
they count it as 4.5 because he's got one kid that's in a wheelchair. So
they want to get the jock guy to join the club.
yeah, they said that
cool.
to get people into the Glee Club, they needed popularity. Popular kids will follow other kids, or kids will follow the popular kids.
Mm-hmm. So
he hears this one kid singing like in the background somewhere. So he goes and looks, and it's like the star football player. So he kind of asks him to join, and he says no. So then he just kind of blackmails him. There's another teacher that throughout the show in the very first episode gets fired for like caressing this other kid as he's singing. So this other teacher has like a medical glaucoma or whatever, license. So he gets pot. He sells it to the other teachers. Well, this teacher got some from him and then like blackmails the kid saying, I found this in your locker. If you don't join the Glee Club, we're going to have a talk with someone. And he's like, oh, I swear, I don't know whose it is. He goes, well, if you join, we can make this disappear.
That's messed up.
So basically he blackmails the star popular kid into joining Glee. And then the cheerleaders want to join because, they don't want this other pretty girl that's in the Glee Club to take her man or whatever. So It actually wasn't a bad show. It's not something I would have chosen to watch myself, but it wasn't bad to watch.
You know,
It
it's a
was
crappy
pretty
punishment, like in hindsight, when whoever has to watch it becomes a fan.
Well, like, there's one part where the husband goes home and his wife comes in. She goes, "Honey, I just can't work and cook dinner. I work 3-4 hour shifts a week at Bed Bath and Beyond," and it's like a knockoff for the TV show. It's like a knockoff brand or whatever. But she's complaining about her 3-4 hour shifts a week that she has to work.
Well, like futon, shower, not that far away.
Yeah, she's like folding towels and stuff, saying, I just can't do it. My hands can't do it, and I can't make dinner. So I thought that stuff was kind of funny. She's like complaining.
Don't work.
She's complaining about not even having a full part-time job. It's not even full hours for that. I just.
She sounds like a real winner.
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was weird when I got here because I could just faintly hear you singing "Don't Stop Believing" in your car with no music. He was just going for it.
But yeah, I mean, for the show, it started in 2009, ended in 2015. Although it does kind of have like a kind of depressing thing about it.
Yeah.
3 of the stars have died.
Yeah.
I think one committed suicide. One was in. I don't know if it was one or the other 2 were in drugs.
One had child pornography charges that he pled guilty to, and then killed himself after that.
Yeah.
One died from, they called it a toxicology mishap. Basically, he screwed around with drugs and OD'd.
And then you had the one female that died actually this year. She evidently she was out on a boat with her and her little her 3-year-old, and they found the 3-year-old on the boat, and evidently she had like gotten drunk or high on drugs or whatever and fell into the water. So it's kind of a depressing.
I mean, I would be looking at those producers like, what kind of environment are you guys fostering?
Are these people like the 1994 Chargers or something?
Yeah.
They were a little rough, but
For football fans out there, you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, it wasn't too bad. It's like I said, it's not something I would watch, but I gave it a 5 out of 10 because I'm sure there's other people that liked it. And, it did make me laugh a little bit.
All right, next time you're gonna watch Cats again.
5 out of 10,
in like
huh?
French.
Yeah.
So I
It
mean,
wasn't horrible.
You could see why it would be on TV and would continue. How many seasons? You said?
I think it was 6 seasons.
Interesting. So, all right, cool. Punishment review done. If you have any horrible movies or TV shows or video games, and you're better at this than Tom is, you throw it on our social medias, and we'll.
Tom's using the shotgun approach. I've gotten so many punishments from him.
That's the problem. Like, we've
Eventually-
punished you so many times. It's like, I'm grasping for straws.
Some are bound to be not bad punishments.
So,
Every now and then.
throw us a bone if you have any ideas. All right, moving on to news and reviews. This is where we talk about stuff that you do want to hear about, and we do a little bit of research and dig into some information. This week, more pertaining to horror and what exactly that all is. And before we get in, let's dissect how horror works. And so, horror is a genre of film, and genres of film, there's like multiple subgenres. There's like slasher. There's thrillers. There's cosmic horror. There's a ton of different kinds of horror. And what happens is that there's a trope in a series of films that becomes so consistent that eventually it standardizes itself as a genre. So like zombie films, they're originally just like an original idea, and then eventually enough zombie films came out that they had a consistency to them. Like the everything's normal in the beginning, and then by the end, it's absolute anarchy and chaos and stuff like that. And society, the people that you work with, you live with, you spend time with, they're the ones that it could inevitably become the monsters. Blah 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 blah. So those are the tropes, the narrative tropes that come out to define a genre. Not to be confused with cliches. Cliches usually are the negative aspect of a consistency in films, and horror movies are littered with them.
Like the girl that always trips and falls down.
Yep, a white girl tripping, black dude dying,
The
jock, the ignorant bastard who's like in charge of the town, like the sheriff or the football coach or somebody who's like, he thinks he knows everything. He ends up dying. Cell phones dying at all the worst convenient times.
The
you
car
know.
all of a sudden craps out.
Yeah, just stuff like that. Those are cliches that audience eye rolls at, and you know, they're consistent, but they're unfortunately consistent, and it's more or less like a cheap knock cop out method to
Keep the characters
yeah
in peril.
yeah plot devices that are just like ugh, here we go. So, but then you can play on tropes too to confuse audiences as to where we're going, and we'll talk more about this in just a little bit. But not just in movies, it's also in TV and video games. But I'll start with movies, and I'll start with news. Speaking of zombie movies, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead comes out next year, and this is a Netflix movie that has been in developmental hell since 2008. So since Snyder has picked it up, this was basically, he decided he was going to do this after the Justice League. He kind of, I don't know what some people speculate that since his daughter died in the middle of the Justice League filming, he took a step back, and then when he decided he wanted to get back into directing, he decided to get into his roots, which was he did Dawn of the Dead back in 2004.
Yeah.
So he wanted to do something like that again.
Those are one of my favorite horror, zombie movies, though. So.
Yeah, the remake. It was
that the one with Ving Rhames?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good
Yeah.
one.
So this one, Army of the Dead, is about a group of mercenaries that plan a Las Vegas heist amidst a zombie outbreak. So that's the premise.
Now, why would you steal money during the zombie outbreak?
Well, I think they were in the midst of stealing money and then zombies. So that's another thing is people are always living their life in zombie films, and then the outbreak
Overnight.
happens.
Chaos.
Like in Shaun of the Dead, he's going through a breakup with his fiance, and bam, zombie outbreak. They've had some casting issues. I don't know if you're familiar with Chris D'Elia.
Oh, Chris D'Elia, the comedian?
Yeah, he was casted in the film, and then he got some sort of sexual charge of something. I don't remember. I don't care, but they had to actually recast him with Tig Notaro. I don't know who that is either. But this guy was interesting because they basically had already finished the film when they had to recast. So they brought him in, and he just had to do standalone reshoots. So they just put him on his set by himself, and he'd just be like, "Yes, that's exactly what happened," and then pretend to respond to people that have already done their scenes, months prior.
That does not give me high hopes.
See, I would do that, but all the scenes where Chris D'Elia's character is with other people, I wouldn't change it.
What do you mean?
I just leave him in the movie and just do the standalone cuts with that other dude and just not explain it to anybody.
Oh, who's this guy?
Who's that?
Let's see here. That's basically it. The only the most famous person involved in the project is Dave Bautista. He's going to be the star. So next is Ella Purnell. I don't know who she is. She's from Miss Peregrine's movie. Some Peregrine home for something children.
Oh yeah.
Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Yeah, that. But that's basically it. Everybody else is kind of.
Dave Bautista's been in a lot of stuff recently.
He's been busy. He's chasing the rock and that the whole I can do everything kind of thing.
That's because he officially retired from wrestling 2 years ago. So now he's fully into
his acting.
Yeah,
with his being Drax and
so
Stuber.
Mm-hmm. We'll see where they go. Is the zombie film is that ran out? Is anybody tired of that yet?
Not if it's done well.
Yeah.
What is well though? I mean, are we
They just don't. You can't have the cheesy effects and all that. If I see that, it's immediately time to turn it off. It's got to be something.
All right,
decent.
so
It's got to
decent
have some
effects.
substance.
But here's my problem with zombie films. Okay, they've become so prevalent in our culture. Everybody knows what a zombie is. Kids know what zombies are. They're in cartoons. They're in Minecraft. They're in movies, TV shows. They're in everything from PG to rated R. Content? They're everywhere. It is impossible to have a zombie outbreak film or whatever happen today without people knowing that zombies exist in this movie.
Yes.
It's so prevalent in our culture, it would be unreal for them to be like, you know, what is that? I've never seen that before. I have no idea. There's never been any portrayal of
It's
this.
like poppycock. You know
Yeah.
damn well what that is.
Yeah, exactly. You could say, you know, like somebody needs to be like, that's a zombie. Shoot it in the head.
I know
Crisis
how this
averted.
works.
See, like I think for movies, for them to be believable that these people just are in this much peril, they can't be at home. Like you remember the movie with Owen Wilson where the No Escape, where he's in like China or Taiwan or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You know, the family needs to be like off on vacation where they don't have their normal stuff
They're out of
readily
their setting.
accessible.
They're
They're
out
just
of-
they're in a strange environment, so they have to make do with what they got. That would be more believable and like, you know, a panicky horror kind of thing.
I do think that there's a hard ceiling for the zombie franchise. I think that eventually it's going to get played out. Like the Marvel, the MCU, and all these Marvel movies and comic book movies. I think that, you know, they're going to go on forever because comic books are just another form of medium that you can explore different ideas and characters and.
And there's different
Plots and
versions
stuff.
of stories, different things you can tell.
That
Zombies,
being,
it's
yeah, that's just its own story, and eventually you can only tell it so many times before it gets redundant.
Yeah.
You know, and the most self-damning thing about the zombie franchise is there's a trope in film where you cannot call zombies zombies. It's considered cliche at that point. You know,
Except that one movie.
so yeah. Well, we're talking. Don't say the Z word.
Yeah.
Oh, that's them poking fun at that trope. Though.
Yes.
So you know that's
They actually like address it.
yeah, but like yeah, you ever watched Dawn of the Dead or the Snyder Cut or whatever? I don't think anybody ever calls any of them a zombie or World War Z or something like that.
I don't think so. I don't remember what they called them in Dawn of the Dead, but
They
well, it's
just
like,
said the
like The
undead.
Walking Dead. They're
Yeah.
they're walkers.
Yeah. I just want one dude to walk instead of the Walking Dead and be like, oh my goodness, a zombie. And everybody's like, what?
Like, I want him to say it, and then everybody just kind of go, zombie. That's an appropriate word.
All right, the movie I want to review: Tucker and Dale versus Evil. The reason why I chose this movie is because it's a comedy horror movie, and the reason why it's so funny is it plays entirely off of the tropes of horror film. Another version of tropes is that there's always a bumbling dumb redneck who's either the killer or a victim. Okay, and is it Tucker? Well, both of them are bumbling dumb rednecks. But there are these dudes that want to build a cabin out in the woods, another trope. When a group of pretty college kids, another trope, show up to
Start killing themselves.
well, they show up to hang out in the woods and go camping, another trope. And then all of a sudden, they see these creepy looking redneck people, and they assume that they're there to murder the college kids themselves. Those dudes are going to murder us pretty people, you know. So, which is not true. They just want to build like a fishing shack and like live peacefully out in the
They just
woods.
want to hang out.
And next thing you know, like they get so creeped out that just a series of events happen, and the kids accidentally start killing themselves. Like,
While trying to kill them.
yeah,
Yeah,
they try to kill them. They trip and fall on their own spear.
Looks like the kids do everything to themselves, and they think it's the murder, like the other people
And
trying
it's
to murder
just
them.
like, these kids are trying to kill themselves.
these poor rednecks. Like Dale is played by Alan Tudyk, and if you see his picture, you know he's like, hey, it's that one guy.
It's
But
the
he's
pirate guy from
Dodgeball. Yeah, Steve the pirate. He's hilarious.
Knight's Tale.
Yeah. He's hilarious. He gets stung in the face by a bunch of wasps while working on his cabin, and so he's got this like mangled, distorted, you know, incest-looking face, and then some kid like sees him. He's like, "Rah!" He's just trying to like talk to the kid. The kid freaks out and basically like kills himself on accident. So
Or they pick up the one blonde haired girl. And they're like, "I've got your friend." She had knocked herself out.
it's a hilarious movie. It's not over the top too. If it's over the top, it's to poke fun at gore trope. In like this kid accidentally tries to kill one of the rednecks, and he trips and falls into a wood chipper and just gets wood chipped. But that's hilarious because like the redneck dude's like, oh my god, he's trying to pull him out of the wood chipper, so it looks like he's shoving him into the wood chipper. It's a hilarious movie.
I gotta rewatch that.
Yeah. So like I thought it was pretty important that we talk about that for this episode because it spoofs on tropes and it plays with your idea of what should happen in a horror movie to the point where like the exact opposite happens. So
And
great movie.
And I think it's on Netflix right now. I think
I remember. I don't know.
it was last time I watched it, so I don't know if
Yeah,
it still
that's
is.
right.
But
You
it-
could probably watch it anywhere, and if it's super cheap. It's a 2010 film, so directed by Eli Grass, yeah, and they're talking about doing a sequel. According to Alan Tudyk, the sequel script sucked, so I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
knowing most of our listeners, though, they would probably like this if they haven't seen it.
The premise for the sequel was Good Will Hunting meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, yeah.
That's a combination.
So
That's Oscar material right there.
but yeah, we'll see. Great movie. I give it a 9 out of 10 just because
I agree with that.
the way they spin on your idea of horror troping, it's great. So, all right, cool. That's it for movies. Who's got TV?
I do.
What you got?
Well, I'll go with what I'm reviewing first. I tried to watch The Haunting of Bly Manor, and it starting off, it's about an au pair. The manor had an au pair that had a tragic death, so they hire this new American nanny to come and look after the orphan little boy and girl that lived there. They live at the house with the groundskeeper, the housekeeper, and the chef. And then, like, the nanny just starts seeing, like, these strange occurrences around the house.
Are you saying that there's a creepy physical location like a hotel or a manor or a insane asylum that has a heinous crime that happened in history that somehow has imprinted itself on present day people?
It wouldn't be the first, would it?
Nope, that's
Nope.
that's called a trope, right?
Is that what
So,
you're telling me?
yeah.
But, it's got the same, or well, not the exact same, but it's got a pretty much similar cast because it's an anthology series with the Haunting of Hill House.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Netflix series, but it's just, I don't know, it's too blah. Like, it started out pretty interesting because, like, you would notice things in the background or on the sides of, like, the screen, like, at certain points. But then it just kind of delved into this love story that's like, why?
It's a lot of people talking,
Yeah.
and a lot of people like, oh no, my tragic history, and you're just like, this is episode 4, and we're just discovering this mess, like this is going slow.
Yeah, it starts off like it's gonna be good. I thought it would be, and then it's because it's pretty creepy to begin with, and then it just kind of delves into this love story, and all the horror stuff kind of takes a back seat to it.
Lame.
I just wasn't a fan.
Yeah, it seemed like they had a lot, like they didn't have enough material for, I don't know how many episodes this season is, but
Yeah.
it seemed like it was pretty slow. It's a lot of people wandering quietly through the hallway, and they're trying to build anticipation with them meandering, in spooky areas, and you're just kind of like, this is the 5th time this has happened, so I'm kind of over it now.
And I've only seen the first 4 episodes, but it almost makes like the characters. I personally think that some of them are ghosts and they just don't know it.
Probably.
The way they act and stuff, but like I said, I don't know.
Some like Sixth Sense kind of deal.
Yeah,
maybe.
I've only seen episode 4, so I might be right, might be wrong, but that's just the way it seems because they just act weird, and I don't know. And then supposedly the series is like influenced by the book The Turn of the Screw, which is supposed to be like a big horror genre writer that I don't know. I've never heard of it, but that's what the show was supposed to be based after. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of this series. I thought I would be.
I didn't like the first one either. I thought the first one was stupid too. And then
Yeah, I didn't like it.
It did really well, but it's more of the same. It was just a lot of people talking and whining about bad stuff that happened to them, and then like minutia scary, like 5% something creepy would happen. That's
yeah,
it.
I want to say this. IMDb gave this like a 7.6, but I would say probably a 4, unless you just want to watch love
Now-
stories.
If you're into anthology series and you like American Horror Story, you probably wouldn't like this either. American Horror Story just kind of like foregoes like plot and reasonable story for just bananas crazy. This is a little bit more grounded and reasonable. It's just slow. It's like reading like a Jane Austen novel or something. But just because it's a lot of people talking about their feelings and whatever. All right, well, what else you got?
We'll move on to my my news. I'd recently mentioned, or well, I don't know if it's recent, but I've mentioned that the Resident Evil is getting a Netflix series not too long ago. Well, now we kind of have a little more information about it. the plot is, the basic of the plot is like it's going to be 3 decades after they've discovered the T virus. There's going to be an outbreak, which kind of reveals all the dark, seedy underbelly of the Umbrella Corporation. They said they want to take this game back to like the roots of this movie, or well, it's a TV series. Sorry, this TV series back to the root of like the games of like the horror element where you don't know what's going to happen. They want to surprise you. They want to scare you.
Which is interesting because the games are actually based off of a Japanese film from the 70s.
Oh yeah,
called House, I believe. That's deep in the recess of my movie knowledge, but I might be right. So.
But they want to, I guess they want to get that feel of the original kind of games back into the show. It's not going to be anything like the movies. They're going to have all characters from the games. It's not going to be a bunch of made-up people. Some of the cast, they're going to have Kea Scodelario.
What'd you call me?
It sounds like a disease that you get.
She's going to be Claire Redfield, which she was in the Maze Runner series, and she was in the most recent like horror movie Crawl, where the alligators are like, it's almost like a Sharknado, but there's a hurricane in Louisiana, and then like all the alligators are in the washed up flooding area.
Crappy movie sequels. That's another horror trope. There you go.
You're gonna have Hannah John Kamen, which will be Jill Valentine. She was the villain in Ant-Man 2 that played like the ghost character.
Oh, okay, she's all right. Yeah.
Robbie Amell will be Chris Redfield, which he was Firestorm in The Flash. He was in the Code 8 movie for Netflix about the superpowers. And he was like the star of the Tomorrow People that it only had 1 season on the CW, but
I don't know any of those things.
He's Stephen Amell's brother from Arrow, or not brother, cousin.
So he's discount Stephen Amell?
Pretty much. They look pretty similar too. They look like they could be brothers. You got Tom Hopper, which will be Albert Wesker. He was Dickon Tarly in Game of Thrones.
Which one's Dickon?
I know who you're talking about. He's him and his dad. Like the last season where they get burned alive by the dragons.
Right.
The dad was just going to take the hit.
And
then his son's just like...
So the son was Dickon?
Yeah.
Dickon?
That's the one, like, he says his name and, like, what's his face? Bron just starts laughing at him, like, in front of everybody.
Because of his name?
Yeah. He's like, oh, Rickon. He's like, it's Dickon. He goes...
If you're one of the people that didn't watch Game of Thrones, he was also Luther in Umbrella Academy, if you've seen that.
No, I never watched that.
Well, I had watched that for a review, but... You also have Avon Yogia, or Yoga.
Yu-Gi-Oh?
Leon. This is Netflix, right?
Yeah, he's gonna be Leon Kennedy. He was if you've seen Zombieland Double Tap, he was the one that played Berkeley. That's the only major credit he has to his name. He was the guy that had the guitar and the slick back hair and the ponytail. Refused to fight. He was a pacifist.
That's funny. So if you're used to these characters from the video games, they could be a completely different person. Then because it's a Netflix casting.
Yeah.
If that bothers you, that might be a thing.
Leon Kennedy is the only one that I don't think he fits like the look of the character, but I mean,
yeah, with makeup and a wig. I love when they say like, we're getting back to our roots with like all these things. It's like we're getting back to the roots, like the Halo series, also stuff like the Star Wars stuff that's coming out. It's like we're getting back to our roots. It's like, what does that mean? It's like you're just trying to capitalize on stuff we really liked a long time ago and hoping we'll like this.
Right.
And then the last person they have is Neil McDonough.
Oh yeah,
which is he's Dr. Birkin for the
he
TV
played,
series.
Damien Dark.
Yeah, Damien Dark.
Arrow.
He was in Minority Report as one of the officers that tried to arrest Tom Cruise.
He was the bad guy in Red 2.
Yeah,
he was in Band of Brothers.
Yeah,
so a lot of stuff.
He's gonna be Dr. Birkin, which is like a virologist. So he's gonna be one of the scientists.
Dr. Durkin.
So, and then the only other news I had was. Everyone that likes The Mandalorian, Season 2 comes out October 30th.
Yeah, it's about time. My son's super excited about it.
The Baby Yoda show.
Yeah. I don't know. I think video game into TV movie adaptations, I think that's a...
I think it'd be better than movie adaptations because they can flesh out the characters and the stories a little better.
Yeah, but
hopefully.
Especially like 90s video games, there's not a lot of plot to them. I mean,
there's a lot of story in Resident Evil now.
There is now, but it's based off of an origin that just is kind of stretched out to begin with.
Yeah.
Maybe they can like revamp it somehow. I'm not saying I know for a fact, but it's just typically in the past. Yeah. So, video games.
I play them.
Yeah.
So my review is something we've talked about briefly, but I want to bring it up because of new consoles and et cetera is coming out and postponed release dates. The Master Chief Collection, specifically Halos 1 and 2.
Okay.
Which we had talked about the other day. Halo 1 and 2 was pretty much like the genesis of greatness for most of us in our video game playing careers.
Yeah, it was like the introduction to first-person shooters for a lot of people.
I mean, like Counter-Strike existed, the original Call of Duties were around, but like Halo Combat Evolved was amazing in every way. And the Master Chief Collection did a decent job with, uploading the graphics, but a lot of the stuff, playing it now, 20 years later, it's clunky, the dialogue is kind of but where they really succeeded, and the one you really should only play, Halo 2. Epic. The Kimbo weapons, the CGI, or not the CGI, the graphics for the cinematics look like you're watching almost a movie. Mm-hmm. They made a game that came out 2002 or 3 or something like that. Looked like it came out 2 years ago.
Really?
Have you not played it?
No, I haven't. I
Have you not played the remastered?
No, I've played them, I think. I just remastered and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not all about it. I mean, I'm playing through them with my son right now because he's super into it. Mm-hmm. So when I get to Halo 2, I'll take more note.
I like playing Halo 2. I think that's the only one that I haven't beaten, though.
Halo 2?
Like, I haven't played
Halo 2
all
is
the way
like the
through.
hardest one to beat.
I just hadn't played it all the way through, so.
In my opinion, it's the best out of all of the Halo games.
It is the best. Because I was playing it with Pez because he had bought it, and we were playing Halo 2, and we were playing some of the stuff from Halo 1, and it was a little nostalgic. It was like, I could probably do this. I'll run through this game. And then when we got to Halo 2, we're running around doing co-op, and everything's just exploding, and I was like, this is amazing, and I want to play this all day. I want to get back into this. That was a big part of our lives.
Halo 2 definitely felt like it was a little bit more serious.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like the story with the Arbiter and all that.
Yeah,
that was a good.
Halo 1 was just stupid, like Captain Keys. Give this man a weapon.
And he gives him his pistol. He goes, "I don't keep it loaded." It's like, why do you have it?
Yeah.
It's a paperweight.
No, just the stupid lines they said. People say, "Holy crap, it's the Master Chief."
Can I have your autograph, sir?
Yeah, Halo 1 was just. Like, it was funny and fun as a kid, but, like, as an adult, you're like, ugh.
Oh, it's just like the little grunts that run around going, ah, trying to run away.
But like Halo 2, it's like the story was really, really good. There's a lot of backstory and stuff they introduced. A lot of, this is why things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was probably, it is the best Halo game. Halo 3 kind of was like a cruise control. Like, let's just finish out this little series of plot that we had.
I don't remember Halo 3 at all. I played it. I beat it probably twice, but I think the most I remember out of Halo 3 is multiplayer.
3 is where they introduced the brutes, isn't it? Or was that 4?
Was that? I think it was 2.
That's 2.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'd played that far in 2, so.
Because the boss in 2 was a brute.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, you have to beat
Dude with the hammer.
Yeah, they got the gravity hammer.
Okay.
So
Do you have to beat the guy with the gravity hammer?
I'm pretty sure.
Tartarus.
Tartarus, Brutus,
yeah,
Maximus, Aurelius,
Tartarus. Chieftain of the brutes. Commander of the big ape guys.
Covenant, yeah.
But
Hey, do you mind?
hey, you know, put your phone on silent, sir.
I'm sorry, that 678 number called me. I don't know who it is.
But if you live under a rock and have for the last 20 years and have not played Halo 2, go out and buy it. Get the Master Chief Collection. Play it. Play 1 and 2. You can play 3. 4, just don't even bother. Delete it from your Xbox. You don't need it.
All right, what else you got?
On to news.
Mm-hmm.
Came out yesterday, or actually today, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Warzone Zombies. It's back. So we have played.
It came out yesterday.
Came out yesterday, whatever. It's out.
Same
Play.
thing.
It's out. Limited release.
Well, it came out on Monday, actually.
Limited release. Yeah, I had played some of the multiplayer. So in the multiplayer now, in like the Halloween thing, night modes, ghosts and stuff is going around. Enemies got like flaming pumpkin heads.
Yeah.
They really went all out with some of that. But
Yeah, it's a free. Yeah, like if you have Warzone,
It's
this is free, and this is by far like the best part of Call of Duty right now. Like bot or not, So it's the most fun I've had playing a video game in a long time.
It is startling.
They get you because you play Warzone. We've been playing for about a year, and you're used to the map. You're used to all the little nooks and crannies and hiding spots, and then they changed the game dynamic by having these.
They made
zombies.
it dark.
They made it dark. They made it spooky. They have these zombies that players turn into when they die that can just launch themselves super high with their crazy zombie
You
jumps.
pretty much like Hancock around the map.
So your strategy, you're used to strategies of this map is just out the window. You can't be like we usually play get up high, get isolated. You know, that doesn't work anymore.
Because they can fall from the sky. They can just jump up. Because, I mean, we were losing it. We fought in prison.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's ghosts going around. I opened a loot crate, and there was like a jump scare thing, like a ghost like came out of my screen. I almost dropped my controller.
Well,
I was fixed to ask you, how was that ghost that appeared in front of you?
Well, I saw a blue circle, and I was like, what is this blue circle? And it comes to me, and I'm like, all right. And then I see a face go, blah, 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 and I'm like, just shooting into the ceilings and stuff.
She starts blasting a wall. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, it's a ghost.
You can't even explain that to your friends. You're just like, I don't know.
And then like it happened to me opening a loot crate, and then like it didn't happen to you right after. And I was just like, you understand now. Now you know why. I just went all of a sudden almost dropped the controller.
It was quite frightening.
So it's kind of similar to Warzone. It's almost like Mini Royale, but it's 150 people.
It's still 150.
Yeah.
Still 150 people.
It's packed.
Just
You
a smaller
land-
area.
Yeah, you land. If you die, you come back as a zombie, but you can't, obviously kill your own teammates. And if you kill humans or humans die, you can pick up 2 syringes and come back as a team member, or they can buy you back.
Yeah.
And if you die as a zombie, that's it. You could just be bought back.
There's also cool stuff they have littered throughout, like kind of like Easter egg stuff, like you know, like kids laughing creepily, and
Yeah.
There's like specters in the
and-
sky.
yeah.
Hands will come out of the ground and try to grab at you.
Sometimes when you go indoors, like there's one where there was like a pool of blood. It was just like going up into the
shoots
ceiling.
and stuff. Yeah. So, but like the coolest part, I think, too, besides like the fun gameplay, is like there's collectibles. There's 13 collectibles scattered throughout the map.
16.
Is it 16?
16.
Okay. And if you collect them all, you get a special gun or whatever.
I got 3.
But it's pretty fun, like because like you'll be like, oh man, there's a billion people over there killing each other, and a billion people over there. There's the chest. My priorities.
Make a mad dash.
Yeah, so
It's like
it's
we were
worth the death.
what I thought was like we were playing. We're on top of the prison on the little 4 towers, and I looked out. There's 2 guys on a team, like 2 enemy guys. They're shooting at each other. And I'm just watching a horde of zombies running at them, and I was just looking down. I was like, they have no chance. They're about. I'm about to watch these 2 guys die, and then I was like, I'm gonna help though.
Well, that's what Hayden was asking me. He's like, do you think people would just like band together to fight off the zombies? I was like, no, I already proved that. I was watching these 2 guys fight zombies. I was like, shoot them in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably do the same. Even if like we fought together to survive an onslaught of zombies, I'd be like, bap, right at the end, just like,
taking my
It's
advantage.
like mow down a horde. That's just like switch to the AA-12.
it's over. So, yeah, I mean, it's a fun game, and it's interesting to see how much work and energy they're putting into this game at the end of its year, because Black Ops is coming out.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately, it only lasts till November 3rd, though.
I think the dark map might stick around for a little bit.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
they might do like a realism dark mode, like, actual MVGs and having to use lasers and all that, kind of like in the campaign. But I will say, Warzone I think has now become the best battle royale.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
They beat PUBG. They beat anybody could be Fortnite.
And their marketing is so ingenious because you get the
It's
full
free.
game experience for free.
Yeah.
But, eventually you're just like, you know what? I don't want to level this gun up through the Warzone experience. I just kind of want to buy the game, enjoy a different multiplayer experience, and level up the gun that way. And it makes sense. And plus the game's probably pretty cheap now anyways. So, but we got to move on. So there you go. There's our news and reviews section. Let's talk about the meat and potatoes of this episode. More into film theory, but that's an interesting dynamic. The only thing that's kind of disappointing about when you analyze what a film does to your mind psychologically is you kind of stop looking at it mysteriously. It's like learning how a magic trick works. The magic's gone at that point. So, but you do learn a lot about yourself and what gets to you and what doesn't get to you. So that's why I like enjoying and exploring these aspects of how horror or some emotional derivative can come out of an art medium. Mm-hmm. The most important thing to learn about this, though, is that it's very relative. So it's just like art in general. 2 people can look at a painting and have a completely different interpretation of what that painting is. Completely different emotional poles. There's color theories and stuff like that out there that talk about why the curtains were blue or why the creepy mask is white or something like that. and everybody has their own opinion on what that does to them, But for the most part, there are tropes in horror that generate a certain sense of horror that specific movies that we have examples of can derive consistent aspects of these subcategories of horror. And I'll let Mitch explain. So,
I mean, and some of these kind of can cross over on top of each other, where they're similar. There's just slight differences between different things, but we'll start off with like number one that they in this article that we've looked at. It talks about negative space, which negative space is it's like you're looking at the movie. You see the main character, and then in the background, you unless you're looking closely, you don't notice. But there's like a shadow person standing in the corner.
Right.
As the camera pans across, it doesn't bring attention to it. Just if you see it, you see it. If not, you're just following the character. Stuff that you wouldn't necessarily notice, or like you were talking about, if the room is so, packed with just all these different things, like a room full of dolls, and you just see one doll's head turn. If you notice it.
Well, so the way I interpreted it was negative space is you are looking for something that is probably not there to attack your protagonist, your victim.
Yeah.
So somebody walking through a hallway and they're just...
You see just all shadows.
Yeah, you have no idea what it is, okay? And then positive space is they're in an antique shop and... You don't know what it is. There's a reflection in the mirror. The rocking chair is moving. That doll, I think I saw it move. That candle just get blown out. There's so many things in this place. You don't know what to look for because there's too much energy. There's too much. That's called what we call positive space.
And like one example of this that they described was the movie It Follows. If you've seen it, there's in the movie you have like the friends or whatever. They're in a setting, and you see other characters in the background. And you know that the character, like the villain of this, it can look like anybody, and it slowly stalks the main characters throughout the movie.
It
so
follows.
You're looking, and you don't know, is this the creature? Is this just a regular person? What what is it? No.
Yeah. Or another example is like that common shot of somebody running through the woods and they're looking around. You don't know where the monster's going to pop out of what tree, in the foreground, background, whatever, and you see a claw on the tree right in front of the camera, or a branch move in the far background. You don't know what it is. So that could be another example of positive space. Negative space, they talked about Psycho with the shower curtain.
Yeah.
So because it's just a white background and she's showering, you have no idea what's about to happen right behind her. So with the white curtain. But yeah, so there you go. What else you got?
We got number 2 on the list was subliminal. Which it's something that's like unconsciously unsettles you, and you can't necessarily put a finger on it.
Yeah, I think cosmic horror is a really good subgenre that does this because there's so much science fiction crap happening in a space movie that you don't understand how the technology or whatever it is going on is happening, but you're creeped out for some reason.
Just because it's a setting that you can't identify with. It's
Yeah, 2001: A Space Odyssey is really good for that. You don't know why these dudes descending into a lunar crater is bothering you, but the music shrilling and then moving really slowly and being concerned about what they're walking towards, none of that in individual aspects would bother you, but all of it put together does for some reason. It gets under your skin, and you're just kind of like cautious for them. So,
or like the first Alien movie.
Yeah, the first Alien movie. This also kind of blends into the uncanny.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can talk more about that in a little bit. Go ahead.
And move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3 would be the unexpected. Like, so it's not necessarily a jump scare, but it's something that you wouldn't expect in a scene. Like in Insidious, there's this one scene in the very first one where the dad is sitting there talking to his mom at the table, and they're just talking, having a conversation about the things that have been happening. And next thing you know, it pans over, and you got the little red-faced demon right behind him. It's like, oh, yeah, you wouldn't expect that because it's broad daylight.
It's like, Darth Maul.
Just the middle of a regular conversation, he's just there.
Yeah, jump scares, I think, are considered a cliche because some of them are. Like the ones where the dude's walking in the hallway and you're waiting for something to come out and grab him. It's just they're dragging that out, and You know, it's like somebody holding a hand to your face, just getting ready to slap you, and you don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And that's the cliche that I think is considered cheap nowadays for a horror film. But
Yeah, the unexpected is like there's no build up to the scary; it just happens. Like
dude just spontaneously gets it.
We talked about, like you were talking about the Sixth Sense, where the kid gets into the tent and he everything's fine, he's safe, and then he looks to his right, there's the girl with like the vomit coming out of her mouth. All of a sudden,
one poor use of unexpected nowadays is like the dude that is ranting and raving, breaking up with his girlfriend or whatever, walking out into the street and then gets ran over by a bus out of nowhere. Yeah. But nowadays, we can see that coming a mile away because we've seen it happen so many times in film. So, they're like, oh, don't go on that street.
You got hit by that school bus.
So
those kids are traumatized.
All right.
Number 4 is the grotesque, which doesn't necessarily mean like just
gore.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily just mean like blood, guts, but just stuff that unsettles you because it's just like
unpleasant to look at.
Well, it's like arachnophobia, like when you're just sitting there, you see these dead people, and all of a sudden a spider comes crawling out of his nose. That also, I mean, it can. One of the descriptions it gives is the movie The Descent. There's this girl that she's wandering through the cave, and she falls, and when she falls, all you see is blackness below her. Well, then she hits like this, what you assume is water until the lights come up a little bit where you can see, and she realizes she's like in this pit of blood and bones, and it's pretty gruesome looking.
Gore in itself is something. It can be a self-damning tool or a very useful tool. Like I think a poor example would be slasher films where they just show just needless brutality for no reason whatsoever, and it's just kind of eye-rolling. If they shock you, especially early on in the film, you're kind of like out of it at that point. You don't really care to see, where this film is going because they've already just taken you too far. But a good example of tasteful gore would be like for instance, Silence of the Lambs, where Hannibal wears the dude's face to escape from the facility that he's in. Like that was creepy because one, it was a useful plot device to explain the story, and two, just to show how far this insane, crazy serial surgeon doctor guy would go to do what he wants to do in order to escape. So,
I mean, I guess a bad version of grotesque. If you look at A Nightmare on Elm Street, where he pulls him into the waterbed, and all of a sudden you just have a geyser of blood. It's like, why do you need that much?
Well, I think it was because they're blurring the reality between dreams and whatever.
But he was dying in the real world.
I think a lot of it's just like that shock value.
Yeah, and is it Carpenter?
John Carpenter.
Is he the one that Nightmare on Elm Street? I always get him and
that was
Wes Craven.
Wes Craven.
Yeah.
Okay, Craven. He always said that he wanted the audience to never really know if they were in a dream or if they were awake in the movie. Yeah. So that might be one of the reasons why.
I just like the overabundance of blood for some characters. Like if was it Dracula Dead Loving It, where he stakes the girl, and then they just make fun of it because it's just blood everywhere. It just continues.
It's like the human body doesn't have that much blood in it.
Directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
But all of these opinions that we have, anybody could argue into the favor of anything, and we could find reasons. If we really want to play devil's advocate for one or the other. It's just there's a reason why a movie does good, and there's a reason why a movie doesn't do good. And honestly, money is a determining factor. Anybody could like a movie. It doesn't matter, if you do or don't. It matters if everybody does or if they don't. So that's what we're trying to differentiate here by these little film theories we got. So
moving on to the next one is it's about dread, which it's like like we mentioned earlier, there's something dangerous in this hallway. Like it's just this long dark hallway. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You expect it to happen.
Yeah, that foreboding, that hopelessness experience. And it doesn't have to just be like the anticipation of something terrible about to happen. I think a good example of dread would be the end of the movie The Mist.
Oh, yeah.
Where Thomas Jane,
that's a rough ending.
But it's definitely dreadful. It's hopeful. Yeah. It's hopelessness at that point, and people love that movie or they hate that movie because of that ending. It's a very bipolar ending. It gives off that sensation, and I think the movie did decently well. So,
but for to end the way it did, do you think it would end the same way if he hadn't have done what he did? Do you think maybe that's the catalyst, that sacrifice? But yeah, I don't want to.
Oh, you saying that the story would be different?
You think maybe that's why the mist clears?
Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. That's an interesting theory.
I don't know.
I think
That's reading in really deep on this.
I think that the film wouldn't be as popular
if that's what happened.
if it had a happy ending. I think people like dreadful stories sometimes. There's like a TV show about that, like Penny Dreadful. I don't know.
Yeah. But they mentioned that a lot of the found footage stuff goes along with this, like Paranormal Activity, where you know stuff keeps getting worse, and you know in the movie, you know, when nighttime comes, that's when they're going to start having
that's when the spooky shit happens.
Yeah, you're going to have.
You said a dirty word.
You're going to have the banging on the walls, and like she starts getting pulled out of bed, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, Blair Witch, like you don't even know why. It just gets creepier for some reason. They're just screaming in the woods at some point, and you're just like, why is this bothering me?
Well, because you know, at no point is it a good idea to be lost in the woods in the dark with a flashlight.
No, ever,
Never.
No matter whether you're with people or not.
A lot of nostril upshots.
Yeah.
Snot leaking out.
Startled.
All right, what else you got?
The number 6 is the uncanny, which you know it's something that's normal but just slightly altered that you can't understand why, but it bothers you.
Like
So-
semi-supernatural.
Well, I would think that
Kinda, yeah.
subliminal would be there's something in this room. I don't know what it is that bothers me. Okay, but I'm in this presence and I am disturbed for this scene for some particular reason. Okay, that something is going to happen. Okay, uncanny is there's something about this cup. I don't know what it is, or this box, or that picture, or whatever. There's something off about it, and it has like that sense of dread is attached to a physical something that you can identify, but you still don't know what it is about that bothers you. So,
Well, like we had mentioned, like in the Omen, you have the black dog, which it's just a dog, but the more you look at it, the more
It bothers
creepy
you.
it just kind of
I don't
throws you
know what
off.
it is, yeah.
And then another one they mentioned in the article that we were reading is the movie. I think I don't know if it's chapter 1 or 2, but you had the little chubby kid sitting in the library,
Yeah.
and over his shoulder you see the librarian, which is this big creepy grin on her face the entire time.
It's just like
Yeah, you know why? I mean, like,
libraries are creepy.
that wouldn't happen. I mean, maybe she thought of a funny joke or something. I don't know, but like, there's no reason for that
I mean, I do that.
situation to happen, juxtaposed with the music and everything going on. And honestly, like these very nuanced sensations that we're describing, there are a lot of things that go into play, especially for film, that generate these sensations that a lot of people don't understand and take for granted. Sound design is, I think, one of the most important things for stuff like that. Like we talked about the fly buzzing at sounds and stuff like that, and
Exorcist.
and you know the things that they try to get.
They condition you to be scared of it in the movie.
They want you to sensory input without knowing that you're taking in this information, and for some reason your blood pressure is raising. So, uncanny. You talked about The Ring.
Yeah.
So-
Like just
The well.
the fact that when she's coming out of the well, it's just like that's not supposed to be there. It's
Right.
like it's not
And
supposed
then-
to be like that.
Why does that bother? 7 days.
And then the last part we have is the unstoppable, which is pretty self-explanatory. Is you have this unstoppable force like Michael Myers or Jason that's just constantly pursuing you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
It's something like based on the reality of our situation. Like you shoot somebody 7 times in the chest.
Yeah.
You're expecting them to hit the ground and whatever. You do what would be beyond considered mortal wounds to humans and completely fatal to these characters, and it doesn't stop them. It doesn't. I mean, it might slow them down, but they'll go down. And you're like, oh, the relief, and then all of a sudden, like you see, like the hands start to twitch, and it's like, huh?
Let's talk about that for a minute. Like at some point, watching Michael Myers get shot 15 times, sometimes in the face, your suspension of disbelief is slowly stretched further and further out, and then eventually you're just kind of like, okay, this isn't a real movie. This could not be based in reality anymore. It's now a supernatural film.
Yeah.
I think it's creepier to acknowledge that right from the get-go with like Freddy Krueger or science fiction like Predator, where you've established that this is an otherworldly entity, and you don't know what it's capable of. You don't know what it's going to happen.
But it's easier to believe it would survive these things.
Exactly. Instead of just like some, jack creepy dude wearing a mask running around.
Although, like the Halloween movies, like they got worse and worse and worse and worse as they went on. Because in the first one, I think he gets like poked in the eye with a coat hanger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that would hurt.
Yeah.
Stabbed with a sewing needle.
He gets stabbed like in the neck-ish.
Yeah, or like
lat
a knitting
area
kind of needle.
with like
big
a
one.
knitting needle, like probably not that far in either, but gets stabbed with that, and then he gets shot 6 times in the chest,
Yeah.
and just bow, and then
And
he
the
just
sequel
falls.
after sequel after sequel.
Yeah,
just
he
gets
gets lit on
dumber
fire.
and dumber. And
They shot with shotguns. They
try to-
blow him up with dynamite.
They try to reboot it, make
Yeah.
it, the Rob Zombie stuff, and try and make it better, and then it gets dumber and
Yeah,
dumber.
it's dumb, and stupid.
I think that they should do like a Sharknado 15, but they cast an A-list cast. Like they have Brad Pitt,
Tom Cruise.
They got
Robert Downey Jr.
Sam Jackson.
Mark
They
Ruffalo.
got it all, and they don't.
The Avengers.
They pick it right up after Sharknado 14 to 15 to just recast with all these A-listers, and they don't explain anything. They just pick it up like they've been doing this the whole time.
I want that movie, but I want it like all these people, but I want Halloween like 15 or whatever it's going to be now. Yeah. But I want Michael Myers to be the good guy.
Oh yeah,
I want him to be the protagonist.
Have you guys seen this YouTube video called "The Michael Myers of Decatur"?
No.
Apparently, I don't think it's Decatur, Georgia, but there's some place. My wife was talking to me about this. That there's this guy who just dresses as Michael Myers.
He just drives around a station wagon.
Well, like he terrorizes his wife essentially, but like apparently like he just goes around and his wife will get phone calls and be like, your husband's on her business roof, and she'll just be like, gall darn it, in happier language, but she'll go to the business and he'll be just standing there with his knife in his hand, just like looking at people, and she's like, get down, get in the car. He'll go pick up his kids in that Michael Myers outfit in a golf cart at school, just like staring at him to tell him to get in the car and stuff like that. And he doesn't say anything.
I saw that like video on Facebook. Well, it was funny. Like when I was a kid, neighbors on the street used to do this crazy big haunted house at their house. Like, it was like the front yard, the garage, around the back, and it came out, and they had like a life-size like mannequin model of Michael Myers. Mm-hmm. And periodically throughout the day, like they'd move it around, like nobody's really paying attention. But the guy, his brother, was like the exact same size. So he would show up at some point, dress as Michael Myers, hide in a different spot, and kids would kids would go to the haunted house, freak out, leave, and bring their friends, and be like, "Oh yeah, it's just a dummy," and he'd just be standing there, and all of a sudden he'd just grab one of the kids.
And just immediately go limp.
I think he said I talked to him one day about it because like, he scared the crap out of me and my brother, and I was like, I paused for a second, like my brief life flashed before my eyes. It was like 2 seconds of, and I was like, how many like people have you scared? He's like, I made 2 kids crap themselves today.
Well, when I was in college, I lived in the dorm rooms, and I'm not a small person.
Mm-hmm. Really?
For anybody listening,
I thought you were a midget.
I'm a fairly large individual, and my roommate he'd gone down the hall to like the showers or whatever, so he was taking his shower. So I put on my Carhartt jacket, long blue jeans, boots, and I had a Jason mask that I put on. And in the hallway of this long hallway of the dorm rooms, I turned the lights out to where only the exit light was shining, and I just stood under the exit light waiting for him to come out. He'd come out of the shower, and he'd come out into the hallway in his boxers or whatever, and he was just standing there, and he goes, "Oh hell no," because he was not a fan of horror stuff.
I bet.
And so he was standing there, and I just slowly started walking down the hall towards him. And you just heard his keys jingling, trying to get into the room.
That's like you start walking, just like slowly tapping the machete against the door handles. It's like glink, glink.
I got a part-time job in a haunted house when I was in college, and they had me be the zombie in the meat locker. And so, like, the tour guide that takes him through the haunted house, he walks him into this meat locker, but the lights are off. There's just bodies of mannequins and, like, dangling body parts and guts from all over the place. And then I'm in this, like, grotesque zombie outfit hiding in a corner. And you can't tell even if the lights were on, but the lights are off. So he walks him in there. He turns on the lights for just a second where they can see everything. Mm-hmm. And then the bulb flickers off like it went out after he turns the light on. So he's like, "Oh no, the power went out." And then the tour guide mysteriously disappears, and everybody's just like left in there, like trying to figure out. They're like running into like arms dangling and stuff like that. And I would wander into the crowd, and I could feel like hands like touching like the ribs and bones sticking out of me. They'd be like, "What? Who is this? What is this?" And then a Blair light would click on, and then start flashing blaring lights, and I just go, "Rah!" and just start screaming. There's this big like 7-foot dude next to me, and I was like, "Bah!" And I was like, "Oh!" This dude screamed like a girl. He screamed. He was like, "Eh!" And then like, so there's like an escape hatch that I have to pop out at, but I had a little grate that I could peek through. So I'm peeking through this grate, and I'm just like, finally, tour guide's like, "Oh, there's the lights. Everything's fine now." The guy's just like standing there. He was wearing like faded jeans. I totally saw pee. I was like, yes. I made that grown man urinate himself.
I made that large manly man.
I was so
piss
happy about
himself
that.
like a little kid.
So we could talk about these horror stories that we've all experienced, but to get back on topic here, maybe it's not too far off topic. These sensations that we experience through these specific categories may have some sort of personal connotation to you. You may have been terrorized in a hallway, okay? Or, when the lights go out and you have this like ASMR, what is that called? Wait, that's a pleasurable experience, isn't it? What's that called?
What?
That noise thing that people have when, I don't know. Anyways, so you may have some sort of noise sensation when the lights are out that terrorizes you, and then what's a very dark scene in a horror movie, all that sound design really plays with you.
You're the Jason.
Yeah, stuff like that. So, and those are based off of some sort of like spiders. Arachnophobia is a movie that's hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
I've never watched it.
So
I'm scared of spiders. I'm not going to watch it.
It's a challenging movie. So they find those things that terrorize people and they exploit them, and they do it through these specific categories. I think there's some therapy though to be said about that. That if you can kind of endure the sensation of the trauma, and it's not going to hurt you. It's just going to just mess with your head for just a little bit. And then you're probably going to think about it for a while after that, and then you'll be over it, So, like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park terrorized me as a kid.
Yeah.
But, like, now it's one of my favorite movies to watch, and I used to have nightmares of being chased by dinosaurs. That scene where Laura Dern is running from
The raptors.
Well, yeah, but you never see the raptors.
You just see Sam Jackson's arm.
Yeah, you never see the raptors. She just runs out into the jungle, panicked. And like Steven Spielberg knew, he's like, we don't even have to have raptors. The audience is just going to be terrified just knowing that she could be pursued right now. And that's true. She just runs frantically through the woods.
And like the camera's like following her from behind, like almost like that chase angle.
But the thing that does it is like, the music is intense. John Williams is like terrorizing you with this crazy music that he always does. But her breathing, the sound of her panicked, peeked over that like the footsteps, and then you don't hear anything else. Just her breathing is just enough for you to sympathize with her panic, or even you maybe like at your home or in the theaters are just like, looking around like what.
That's the great thing about horror. If you're lonely, watch a horror movie, you won't feel alone. We want to talk about the scientifically proven.
Yeah. What's the scariest?
So here,
just give us the top 5.
This was actually like a scientifically done study. This is on Nerdist. So they had people watch like hundreds of hours worth of horror films. All the good classics. And once this thing actually wants to work, damn it.
Yeah.
Well, what had happened was, when like your phone does like that zoom in on a picture and then you can't zoom it back out?
Mm-hmm.
It did that to the list. But, I mean, they tested people's heart rates, blood pressure through all these, and they actually scientifically correlated it. The resting BPM was 65 beats per minute. The highest spike was 131, which is like, that's double that, plus 1. But I was like, you almost gave somebody a heart attack. A lot of your bigger ones, the classics are on here: Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, The Shining, Exorcist. But here's the top 10 scariest scientifically proven films from 10 to 1. The Visit, The Descent, which I think was one you mentioned for Grotesque.
Yeah.
The Babadook. The Conjuring 2.
Those are
It
one of my
Follows. Paranormal Activity. Hereditary. The Conjuring. Insidious. And the number one scientifically proven ultimate horror movie, Sinister.
Oh, Sinister. Yeah.
With Ethan Hawke, and the bad guy looks like he should play bass for Slipknot.
Yeah.
Which I watched that movie, and like they tease you with the jump scare.
Yeah.
Like when he's doing the camera thing and you see him and he moves, and then all of a sudden, like it's like it's coming, and I'm watching. I'm just like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna get me, and then they and I still jumped in. I was like, damn it. I was like,
Well, it's like I said,
I saw it happening.
it's a dude just like saying, "I'm gonna slap you in the next hour and a half." You just don't know when it's gonna happen. So you're
just like,
you're just bracing for impact. It's like you ever seen How I Met Your Mother, where what's his name, the bro code guy,
Barney Stinson.
Barney Stinson. He
No Patrick Harris.
he pisses off one of the characters in the show, and throughout the next season, the whole year, he gets 5 slaps. He can slap him 5 times whenever he wants to at any point. And you forget about, even the audience forgets about it at certain points. It'll be 6 episodes later, and randomly he'll just slap the crap out of him, and they'll be like, "That's 3." So
It's like they're at some event or whatever. It's like yeah, bam,
yeah,
it's 2. It's
Yeah.
like, damn it.
that's exactly what it's like in the movie. When they jump scare, you're just like, "Oh yeah, I forgot you're gonna do that." So
One thing I thought was weird though, these top 10 films, these are recent movies.
yeah, a lot of them are. I mean, I honestly do think horror is getting better because, like, if you think about it, we did a little bit of research. Jump scares and stuff like that, what you would consider a typical horror film, they didn't really perfect until about the 60s.
Yeah.
They tried it in silent era, and it just wasn't happening with, like, Phantom of the Opera and stuff like that. But really, when the 60s and 70s kind of hit, that's when they started to really throw out more horror finesse. And then I'd say in our childhood, they really doubled down on jump scares.
Yeah.
Everything in a jump scare. Comedy movies had jump scares at certain points. Why
That
not?
stupid car commercial where the car's going down and all of a sudden,
Yeah, everything had a jump scare at a certain point. So nowadays, people, I think, are a little bit more creative and tasteful. And I do think that horror is going to inevitably get better as long as they get away from this indie
nonsense.
crap where people are just
It's
wandering
not
around.
good.
Yeah, your film festival horror movie,
It sucks.
just stop it.
You suck.
Keep it as a short film.
Kind of like Bly Manor, where they just
Yeah,
talk
just
and
wander
look.
around. I feel disdain today.
It's like a handsome, dirty French guy smoking a cigarette isn't the plot of a movie.
So, all right, cool. There you go. This is a lot of heavy conversational stuff that we pretty well kept contained. If you have any opinion on any of this, please talk to us on whatever Mitch's social mediums are, and I could talk about this stuff all day. I love film theory. I didn't think I would, and then I studied it a lot in college, and I really enjoy it. So I could talk about this stuff all day.
If you like us talking about this more so than just like a top 10 list, let us know. We'll put out kind of a poll to see, what your opinions are, to see what you like,
Right.
see what you want to hear more of.
So, well, it's that time.
Hush, Nikes.
While Tom pulls up his list, his wheel of death, Mitch, tell us your first scary movie experience.
Probably Blair Witch.
Yeah.
That's the first horror movie I remember seeing that scared me. I mean, I was a kid, so it made me I was big enough to where I wasn't sleeping with a nightlight anymore.
I was wearing big boy pants.
I need my Blakey.
I don't remember what
binky.
Well, I don't remember what age I was, but I was big enough where I didn't sleep with the closet light on or nothing like that anymore. This movie made me sleep with the light on for 2 weeks, just because as a kid, that was a fear I had because my dad would take us hunting and he'd go, "All right, go find the stand." So I'm supposed to walk a mile through the woods in the dark with a flashlight. I'm not even 10 years old, and I've got a gun.
That seems rather irresponsible.
Well, I mean, I've been doing it since I was 5 years old.
All right.
But
Hey, you turned out all right.
He didn't die, so it all works out. All right, hit that wheel.
it was a real life scare. though.
This is real life scares.
Yes. Yes.
Me by Hayden from
Good.
the movie.
Good.
It's about time.
Number
All right.
5 out of 36.
You have to watch this movie, okay?
If it's arachnophobia, I'm not watching.
It's not
it. I'll
arachnophobia.
punch you in
You
the
have
throat.
to watch this movie, all right? And you can't do this whole, I watched 20 minutes of clips on YouTube thing. I don't care if you have to spend $100 to watch this movie, all right? This is only your 5th punishment in 36 episodes.
I think he's feeling some kind of way.
You will watch this movie, all right? Let me find the trailer.
What the heck?
Shoosh.
Shoosh.
My fat thumbs.
Normally he makes me look this shit up.
Las Vegas, where anything goes. Enjoy it while you can.
Here, I'll put it here.
Find
They're gonna
out
crop
to
this trailer.
Verdansk. My name is Aaron Brand. I always thought I was doing the right thing in preparing for life. I was the first in my class in college in computer science. I joined the military and became a fighter pilot. I won many medals for distinguished service.
Manny.
I'm now a covert agent, a mercenary for any nation that wants to control me. I don't need much to live on anymore. I just eat tuna out of the can and live in the car. I control access.
All right, I think we get it.
I don't know what's going
This
on.
movie is called Double Down.
It's not just a guy on YouTube with a camera, is it?
No, this was made in the past 20 years, but
Was it really?
Yeah, it is written, directed, produced, and starring this guy.
Who is that guy?
His name is Neil Brennan, and he loves himself so much that he's made movies off of whatever he does. You know, and I think in reality he's like a financial accountant or something like that.
And he's
but
just like, you know what? I'm gonna make a crappy movie.
I think he like legitimately believes that his stuff is cool because like I've researched it and like he akins his movies to like other stuff like Point Break and crap like that. So, yeah. So there you go.
This
Double
came
Down.
out in 2007.
Yeah.
Dude.
Double Down. That's. I'm excited about this new untapped water we've hit here.
Oh my god.
So, all right, cool. Well, if you got some crappy movies that you want us to look at, or throw onto the list, or kill Tom with, by all means, throw it into our Facebook. And we look forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this episode and any ideas that you have for upcoming episodes. So, this is goodbye from me, Hayden. Goodbye from
Mitch, bye.
Goodbye from
Me.
Tom.
Bye.
Goodbye, buddy.
Yes! It's not me!
No, it's not you this time.
Thanks.